Before my best friend went missing, he sent one last message. Meet me at the field. I found something. I wish to God we never went. I never liked the way the lamp glowed over the abandoned baseball field. It wasn't the light itself. God knows it barely gave off enough to see your own shoes. But the color. A burnt orange, like the sun bleeding out at the end of a wildfire day. Everything beneath it looked wrong. Our faces looked hollow. The metal bleachers looked rusted even where they weren't. The pitcher's mound looked like a wound. But for a long time, that field was our place. It sat behind the old vocational school, shuttered since the late 90s after some scandal the adults never fully explained. My friends and I, Tim, Johnny, Carl, and me, started hanging out their freshman year, mostly because no one else knew about it. And because for Tim, it felt like a lifeboat. Home wasn't good for him. The field was where he could breathe without someone yelling in the background. We'd drag out a boombox, toss around a ball, talk about grades or girls, or whether Miss Harper wore a wig. Normal teenage stuff. But it always felt like the light was watching us. One lamp, stuck to a leaning wooden pole, humming with electricity it shouldn't even have, given the school was dead. Whenever night hit and the woods pressed in beyond that orange glow, my legs tingled, like someone was sizing me up from the tree line. Between 1:30 and 2 o'clock every night, the forest got impossibly quiet. Every time we noticed, we'd look toward the black wall of trees and pretend we didn't care. But we cared. We all felt it. Even Johnny. Johnny always said the field was our spot forever. He meant it. He was the glue in our group, loud, confident, reckless in ways that made you love him and roll your eyes at the same time. Nothing scared Johnny. Not the woods. Not the lamp. Not anything. So when Johnny went missing, people said maybe he'd just run off somewhere. He wasn't the type, but adults never see who you really are. We did, and we knew something was wrong. It was early June, humid, the kind of night where even the bugs were tired. Johnny had texted all of us around 3:21 p.m. Meet at the field tonight. I gotta show you guys something crazy. No joke. We didn't think anything of it. Johnny was always finding crazy things. Abandoned sheds, weird footprints, random collectibles from flea markets he insisted were haunted. But that night, I couldn't go. My parents dragged me to some family dinner. Carl fell asleep studying. Tim never showed either. Later he said he couldn't sneak out. But Johnny did. He always kept his word. When he didn't come home, the next morning, a search started. Cops dragged the lake, questioned neighbors, searched the wooded trails. But they didn't go near the vocational school. Said it was private property and structurally unsafe. Bullshit. They didn't look because they didn't want to. We went ourselves, day after day, but the field looked the same as always. Orange lamp, empty bleachers, quiet woods, and no Johnny. Summer started. Weeks passed, then months. Soon the field felt poisoned by his absence. We stopped going entirely. The place felt hungry. It wasn't until late August that I went back. I don't know why. Maybe I missed him. Maybe I wanted closure. Maybe something else wanted me there. The night was thick and warm. I parked my car behind a collapsed maintenance shed and walked the path we'd beaten into the weeds over the years. The field emerged like a memory, so familiar, yet wrong in a way that made my stomach pinch. The lamp was on. Of course it was. The lamp was always on, but there were people there. At first I thought I was imagining it. Shadows sitting rigidly on the bleachers. 3 of them, all motionless, all facing the field. They looked like mannequins in the dead orange light. I froze. My breath felt loud. Then another figure stepped into the glow. A man. A dancing man. He didn't see me. He danced in slow, cheerful arcs, like a little kid doing a celebration at recess. His grin stretched too wide, too bright. Something about his face tugged at my memory. I stared, horrified, studying the way his limbs flopped loosely, like he didn't fully understand how to use them. His elbows bent at odd angles. His steps were too bouncy. He giggled under his breath, soft, high delighted. My skin crawled. Then he spun, and for a split second, the lamp hit his features at a perfect angle. And I recognized him, not as someone I knew personally, but someone I'd seen in a yearbook. Our sophomore yearbook had a staff photo of the school janitorial team. We'd pass the page around during lunch because one guy, thin face, parted hair, weird plastic-looking smile, had creeped us out. That was him, the dancing man. He looked exactly the same. Not older, not different, like he hadn't aged a day. My legs finally unlocked, and I backed away, slowly, quietly, heart punching my ribs. When I got to my car, I nearly tore the door off, scrambling inside. By the time I reached the main road, my hand was shaking so badly, I had to pull over. The janitor who didn't exist. I told myself I needed proof I hadn't hallucinated. So the next morning, I did the stupidest thing I've ever done. I went to the police. I showed the detective the photo in the yearbook, told him what I saw. He listened politely, too politely, and said he'd look into it. A week later, he called me back. We can't find any employment record of this janitor. No personnel files, no tax forms, no pay stubs. Are you sure the photo is from this district? I told him yes. Absolutely yes. He told me the man wasn't in the state employee database at all. That's when I realized something was horribly, impossibly wrong. People don't just appear in yearbooks and nowhere else. Unless someone wanted them there. Unless someone wanted kids to get used to seeing a face. Unless someone was watching. By the end of August, the nightmares had started. Dreams of Johnny's voice echoing from the tree line. Dreams of the dancing man skipping around my bed. Dreams of those three unmoving figures on the bleachers turning their heads in perfect unison to look at me. One morning, near the end of summer, I dragged myself to the local Dunkin' for something with enough caffeine to keep me functional. The place buzzed with chatter, teenagers ordering coladas, moms juggling toddlers, construction workers in neon vests. Normal. Safe. I was waiting for my order when the automatic doors slid open and a man walked in. Thin face, parted hair, plastic smile. The dancing man. He moved through the line humming to himself, swaying gently with his little delighted grin. Nobody else seemed to notice how wrong he looked, as if he were wearing human behavior like a poorly fitted costume. My chest tightened. I sank into my hoodie, praying he wouldn't turn around. He didn't. He just grabbed a small iced coffee, no lid, and walked right back out. I forced myself to follow at a distance. I told myself I just wanted confirmation I wasn't losing my mind. Then he approached a car in the parking lot. A dark blue sedan. Not unusual, except for the license plate. A vanity plate. Johnny's vanity plate. My vision tunneled. My fingertips went numb. He had replaced the bumper, repainted the car, changed the stickers, but the plate was unmistakable. A nickname only our group used. A nickname only Johnny would have chosen. The dancing man tapped the roof twice, happily, as if signaling someone inside. My guts twisted. Someone was inside. Someone sitting in the passenger seat. Someone I couldn't fully see. Someone who didn't move. He got in, backed out of the lot, and drove away with Johnny's car. And Johnny, or what used to be Johnny, I never told the police about the Duncan incident. I knew how insane it sounded. A disappeared kid's car, driven by a janitor who doesn't exist? A man who dances in abandoned fields at night? A passenger who doesn't move? They'd throw me in a psych ward. So instead, I tried to move on. College applications, part-time work, pretending life was normal. But the night stayed wrong. I'd hear humming outside my window, high, childish humming. Sometimes it disappeared as soon as I turned on the light. Other times I'd catch it drifting away down the street, like someone skipping into the dark. I stopped sleeping again. Tim and Carl refused to talk about the field. If I even mentioned it, they'd shut down, their faces going pale, eyes glassy. And maybe they're right not to. Maybe remembering is dangerous. But I can't forget. None of this feels over. Sometimes when I drive past wooded areas, I swear I see an orange glow between the trees. Not headlights, not lanterns, a lamp, the lamp. And sometimes, if I'm unlucky enough to hit the red light near the vocational road, I'll glance in my rearview mirror and see shapes. 3 shapes, standing perfectly still at the edge of the woods. Watching, waiting, for me. I've replayed everything 1,000 times. The field, the lamp, the woods, the dancing man, the figures on the bleachers, Johnny's car. And this is what I believe. Something lived behind that abandoned school. Something that needed the lamp. Maybe it powered it. Maybe it fed from it. Maybe it used it the way spiders use webs. Maybe the orange light didn't illuminate the field. Maybe it hunted it. I think the dancing man wasn't a janitor. Not really. Maybe he pretended to be one. Maybe he needed to get near the school. Maybe he's been there for decades, wearing different faces, planting himself in yearbooks like a seed. I think he watched us for years. And I think Johnny saw something the night he disappeared. Maybe he arrived early. Maybe he walked into the woods. Maybe he met the dancing man first. Maybe he was shown something crazy. And maybe now he sits on those bleachers, perfectly still, waiting under the lamp's dying glow. A month ago, I drove past the vocational road and noticed something different. The lamp was out. For the first time in my life, it was dark. At first, I felt relieved. Maybe the thing had gone. Maybe the power source had finally died. But then another thought hit me. If the lamp was out, where did the dancing man go? He didn't just vanish. He moved. He left. And he took whatever was under that light with him. Last week, while lying awake at 3 a.m., I heard something outside. Humming. Soft. Happy. Playful. Exactly the way he hummed in the Duncan line. I froze, terrified to breathe. The sound drifted away after a minute, but I stayed awake until sunrise. When I finally worked up the courage to check outside, I found a muddy footprint below my bedroom window. A long, narrow footprint with a dragging heel, like someone who didn't quite know how to walk right. Next to it was something worse. A second footprint, smaller, bare, and beside it, in the dirt, were 2 words. Miss you. The letters were shaky, uneven, like they were written by fingers that weren't meant for writing. Like someone hadn't used their hands in a very long time. Like someone who used to be my best friend. I've locked every door, every window. I sleep with a bat in my hand. I don't go out at night. I avoid the Duncan, the old school, anywhere with woods. But deep down, I know something. You don't escape people you used to meet under a lamp like that. You don't outrun a thing that wears faces like clothing. You don't hide from a friend who's already dead. The house feels wrong tonight. The air is heavy. And as I'm writing this, I can hear it again, right outside. Humming, slowly growing louder. Something taps at the glass. 2 taps, familiar, rhythmic. Exactly the way the dancing man tapped the roof of Johnny's car. Something else taps after. Softer, weaker. A second set of fingers. 2 people are my window. One humming. One breathing shallowly. I don't want to look. I don't want to look. I don't want to. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and tap the bell, because the next story might hit a little closer to home. Sleep well if you can.